There's this weird cycle in the gaming industry where if one of the big hardware manufacturers has a very successful generation, immediately with the next generation, they become incredibly cocky and start making a ton of mistakes. Look at Sony after the PS2 generation.
In North America, the PlayStation 3 will be available at retail on November 17th, 2006. The 20 gigabyte PlayStation 3 will retail for $499 US and 549 Canadian dollars. And the 60 gigabyte PlayStation 3 for $599 US, $659 Canadian.
The beginning of the PS3 gen was very hard for them. Shuhei Yoshida, the ex-president of PlayStation, said in a recent interview that the only reason Sony was able to get by and that PlayStation was able to continue was because of one of their TVs that was super successful. And then, of course, we all remember how Xbox was after the Xbox 360.
And fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message if you don't, like it?
If you have zero access to the internet, that is an offline device. I mean, seriously, when I read the blogs.
And now here we are with Nintendo. After what I believe is by far their most successful generation and console, the Nintendo Switch. Now, they just had a Nintendo Direct a couple of days ago, and to be honest, it was a little not what I wanted. But the thing that one of the things that really stuck out to me was the price of a lot of these things. First of all, what's hilarious is that they think that they're smart, they think that they're slick. They don't usually announce the prices of these things in the Direct. They wait until after the Direct for you to find out and get sticker shock and be kind of disappointed, because I think what's important to note here is that we do have a reason to be disappointed. So I just wrote down some quick things. Apparently Amiibo now are between $30 to $50, which is absolutely insane. And what's so funny about that is the $50 Amiibo is Bandana Waddle Dee from Kirby Air Riders and just the Kirby series overall. And I don't know if this is a super popular character. Of course I know him, but it's out of all characters to go for $50, we're going with Bandana Waddle Dee. Okay. Of course, there are 2 Mario Galaxy ports coming up soon for Switch, Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. They're each $40 digitally. You can get the combo pack physically for $70, but that's kind of absurd, $40 each. Now, it did come out that they're kind of actually working on these, they cleaned up some of the textures, they're redoing the UI, and of course, I'm sure they're fixing up some of the controls. I think I just read this morning that you can use the mouse controls on the Mario Galaxy games, which is interesting. So there is work going into these. They're not just straight ports, but $40 each is kind of insane. I feel like they were just trying to figure out any way to justify charging what is now the new norm, $70, which is so weird. And then, of course, they just put out a Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC for $20. And I'll be honest, I have not heard one single positive thing about this. It looked kind of hype because it takes place on Donkey Kong Island, and you can see all the old friends like Dixie and Diddy and Cranky. But wow, that from what I'm hearing, it's awful, and that's kind of mind-blowing. And it's not that surprising because the game just came out 2 months ago, so it's either they withheld this from the main game or it's something that they just crapped together super fast to keep the hype going from Bonanza. Speaking of DLC, I know this was a common practice for the industry for a while, but it didn't seem like a super big Nintendo move. But with Pokemon Legends Z through A, they announced a DLC with Raichu, and I just feel like that's so weird to announce DLC before the game even comes out. So normally this is the part where we would have to ask ourselves why, why is this happening? But I don't think we have to do that here because I feel like it's kind of obvious. This is something that I like to call the winner's tax, where basically Nintendo completely won in the last generation. They sold over 120 Switches and an insane amount of software. If you guys don't know, Nintendo's software sales put Sony and Xbox to shame. It's actually hilarious. I think Animal Crossing New Horizons sold more than any Sony first party game ever. I'll put a chart here if I'm wrong. You can laugh at me if I'm wrong. I don't really care. But yeah, it's just insane how successful they are now because I've been a fan for a while. I was a diehard Wii U fan. I think this video is still up. If not, I'll just post a screenshot of it. But my worst thumbnail ever belongs to a video called The Wii U Was Awesome. I love the Wii U. I thought it came with a lot of cool, amazing first party games, some cool ports, and the Virtual Console was amazing, but I felt like I was treated way better as a customer back then and as a fan. And what I don't understand is, like, you have more customers now than you ever have in the history of your company, and you're just being so damn greedy. Like, I get if you want to add like just a couple of bucks to everything, because when Amiibo launched, they were $12.99, right? Now, if you want, you could bring up, of course, inflation and say like whatever plastic or whatever goes in the Amiibos is now more expensive. And I don't know, instead of $12.99, maybe Amiibos are $17.99 or $19.99. But the fact that we're now seeing $30 Amiibos, $40 Amiibos, $50 Amiibos, that's really telling in a lot of ways, and it's disappointing. And honestly, the worst part about this is I just feel like they're going to have a similar trajectory as Sony, where Sony had a very great generation with the PS4, and when the PS5 started, we didn't know that they were going to go in this live service direction and basically forego everything they did in the PS4 generation that made us love them. And I feel like Nintendo's kind of going on that path where we don't like how they're pricing things, but it's too late because the Switch 2 is selling like crazy and the Switch 1 sold like crazy. And they're going to keep putting out these games that are on Switch 1, on Switch 2, and they're going to sell like crazy. So the only way that we as a customer can send our message to them is by not buying their stuff. But it's just kind of too late because, again, look at the Switch 2. It is selling very well. Yo, it's Dylan a few days later, probably the day this video goes up. And I just kind of wanted to back up my point of what I was saying, that I think Nintendo is going to have another amazing generation financially, which I think can blind them from criticism. So like, we got some updated information. Apparently, the Switch 2 is the second fastest selling console in Japanese history. The first is the Game Boy Advance, which is really interesting. And another thing that I recently saw is in 2025, out of the top 5 most viewed tech showcases, so not even just including gaming stuff, just overall technology, Nintendo has 3 of the top 5. Now, obviously, that's the hype of a new console, but still, like, their least viewed direct this year was almost the same amount of views as an Apple showcase. And we all know how big and how crazy Apple fans are. So, like, Nintendo, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, if you don't like the direction they're going in, vote with your wallet. And here I am criticizing the pricing, right? And there's still a part of me that is heavily considering buying Mario Galaxy 2 for $40 or just buying the double pack for $70. And maybe that makes me an idiot, but the reality is it's Nintendo. These games are not going to go on sale for like a year, and when they do go on sale, they're probably going to be like, what? I don't know, 30 instead of 40. And honestly, when you look around, everything is so expensive. So for somebody like me, who is a big Nintendo fan, I kind of feel stuck with these prices. I think that they're like just a little too much, you know? Like, I understand that everything right now is stupid expensive. It's going to stay stupid expensive. That's how inflation works, unfortunately. But man, Nintendo, like, you just didn't waste any time doing it, did you? Like, it just doesn't make sense that like they launched $80 games basically with Mario Kart World, and I don't think they've ever done an $80 game again. So I don't know, things are looking kind of grim financially. Like, if anything, I thought it would kind of be the reverse, where when the Wii U was doing really poorly and they had very few customers, you think that they would charge a little bit more because they have very few customers. And now that they have a lot of customers, you would think that maybe they can take a breath of fresh air, a sigh of relief, and not go so crazy with the prices. But I guess that's why I'm not like an economist or anything like that, or a business owner, because I don't really get any of these things. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'm really kind of bummed out about it, but it is what it is. That's just the reality of the world we live in. What do you think? Is Nintendo insane? Are you done supporting Nintendo? Let me know down below. Have a great day. Thanks for watching my video.